The technological singularity is not the result of artificial intelligence and advanced technologies. It's the result of spiritual consciousness coming into physical reality embodied in human beings, and then those human beings working together to create the resources necessary for the materialization of those intentions. And you are part of that unfolding. Welcome to another episode of AI in Spirit. This is the video series of the Positively Focused YouTube channel, where I focus on the convergence of artificial intelligence and other technologies with the spiritual consciousness of humanity. It actually is the unfolding of the spiritual intentions of humanity. That is the purpose of the age of abundance that we're moving into. Artificial intelligence and other technologies that are enabling this future are simply manifestations that are fulfilling the desires of the collective human intention of moving more and more into consciousness expansion. That's what we're seeing. And in today's episode, I want to talk about a video a client sent me that expressed so many points supporting what I just said, that technology is enabling a spiritual future. And in this video, Salim Ismail, I think is how you say his name, an entrepreneur and celebrity in the tech space, is talking with the host of, I think it's called Milk Road AI. He's talking with this host about the deflationary effects of technology and how everything, as we move into this future, everything that is produced, the cost of producing those things is dramatically dropping to zero. And as a result of that, we're going to move into a future where things are so inexpensive, you might as well say that they're free. Now, this is important to understand as we move into this future, because as jobs become more and more taken over by artificial intelligence and humanoid robots, people are going to, if you aren't aware of what I just said, that prices are going to drop to zero, it's easy to fear how you're going to afford things if you don't have a job. But two things are happening as we move toward this future that are creating a reality where it doesn't matter that you don't have a job, nor does it matter that you have any money. The first thing is there's going to be a moment when governments around the world are going to have to implement a universal basic income. Now, in my last AI in Spirit episode, I got some pushback on that. I'm not going to go into that. You can read the comment section where I answer those pushback with very detailed answers. But there is one thing I want to say about it that is important to understand, that this is a combination of effects that are occurring that's creating this future reality. And universal basic income or universal high income is just one of the effects. The other effect is this marginal cost curve, the deflationary effects that artificial intelligence and technology are having on prices and cost. And so one of the people, I'm just going to talk a little bit about this from the last video I produced. One of the people who commented on that video was saying, if everyone gets a universal basic income of about $110,000, then prices are going to go up. But the challenge with that is the deflationary effects of artificial intelligence and technology are forcing prices down. And so as we move closer towards the realization of universal high income, we're seeing price pressure and cost pressure being put on markets as a result of artificial intelligence and technologies. And so by the time the universal basic or universal high income gets implemented, prices are going to be extremely low, heading towards zero. And in this video, Salim talks about that. So without further ado, let me introduce that first segment. Now I think I selected 6 segments from this video that I'm going to respond to. And in this video, I'm going to respond to only 2 of them. The next AI in Spirit video I produce, I'm going to respond to the other 4 or so. But these first 2 are really important because they speak to what I just said. So the first one I'm going to play is about the end of money, where Salim is talking about how that's going to happen. Let's take a listen.
We have about a decade of really messy transition between going from scarcity systems to abundance systems. Once we navigate that decade, we'll be fine. Okay. Then we really don't need money going forward. And Elon Musk has said this recently, and it was based on a conversation we had with him a month and a half ago, because we have an X Prize out right now that's under design, which is, can you drop the cost of living in the US to $250 a month for housing, food, healthcare, education? Okay. So if you could, which is a 10x from where it is today, okay, which is not that hard given what technology is doing, free AI, free doctor AI, free education AI, whatever, you $250 a month per person is a pretty achievable thing for many, many, many people around the world. Okay, so then you don't really need retirement in the same way. You don't need to work 50 years to save up a pot of money that'll then have you coast the last 20 years of your life. That just doesn't apply. So we get bubbly excited because we can see the future coming with technology in a very short order. It's not decades away. It's not even years away. In some cases, it's months away. That's why we get so excited. So we really have a great life to look forward to. And I think we'll have an amazing future as a human species. We just have to overcome this transition, which is always going to be ugly, between our old scarcity-based systems and moving to these abundance-based systems.
Okay, you heard it directly from Salim. The first thing I want to point out from this clip is that he didn't acknowledge all of the factors that the X Prize is working toward when he mentions all your basic needs covered in $250. As I recall, the X Prize design is housing, food, electricity, water, healthcare, education. So all of those things provided for $250 or less a month. Now think about that. For many people, just paying for electricity or water every month exceeds $250. So we're talking about 6 different things provided for $250. That's astounding. That demonstrates how the cost of things are coming down. And if you heard Salim talk about the time frame that he's talking about less than a few years. He's even saying some of those things may happen in the next couple of months. And then he mentions how in this future, which is right around the corner, saving money for retirement is going to be a thing of the past. This is the thing. So think about this in the context of universal basic or universal high income. If all of your basic needs for living can be provided for $250 a month, and you're receiving $110,000 a year, suddenly you're rich. And the prices of the goods and services that you want to buy aren't going to go up either, contrary to classical economics, because more and more of those things are going to be produced by automation, either humanoid robots or other artificial intelligence-driven machines. And the cost of electricity to power those things is dropping to near zero also. Salim talks about this, the cost of electricity dropping to zero in this same video. So this is really an astounding feat. And why is this happening? It's happening because people like you, people like me, lots of people around the world are focusing on what they don't want. They're focusing on how they don't like having to go to work 5 days a week. They're focusing on how they have to spend time at home doing things they don't want to do. They're focusing on how their money is not going far enough. They're focusing on the prices going up in today's society. They're focusing on how a lot of their freedoms are being curtailed by government or some other force. And while people are focusing on all of that negative stuff, as they're focusing on what they don't want, they're shooting off intentions aligned with what they do want. This is a classic explanation of how material reality unfolds as a result of the spiritual dynamics underlying how physical reality works. When you focus on something you don't want in non-physical, that causes you to ask for what you do want. And when you ask for what you do want, whether you're aware of that you're doing that or not, Your broader perspective takes a hold of that and works with the universe and your cadre and all the other cooperative components to assemble the resources necessary for what you want to manifest. And when you align with that, that desire fulfills itself in your future reality, but you have to align with it. The more easily you align with that, the more easily you align with that future probable reality, the quickly it unfolds as your reality. And this explains why it has taken so long for this superabundant AI age to materialize. It's taken so long because most people are not aligned with that probable future reality where it does show up. Over the decades that has passed, most people have been aligned to more of what they don't want than what they do want. And so they keep getting more of what they don't want. But now the momentum is so great, and so many points of consciousness have come into physical reality, embodied in human beings that want this future also, that the future is unfolding more and more quickly. And that's what we're seeing in the singularity, the technological singularity. The technological singularity is not the result of artificial intelligence and advanced technologies. It's the result of spiritual consciousness coming into physical reality embodied in human beings, and then those human beings working together to create the resources necessary for the materialization of those intentions. And you are part of that unfolding. This is so good. Now, Salim points to everything I just said when he talks about, in the next clip, the result, or the how do I say this? He talks about what human beings are going to do in response to the question the host asks, which is, are people going to be happy in this future? And what he points to is really interesting. It's really important to hear what he says, because what he's basically doing, and it's so good, he is affirming the information that people like me are providing to the world. Positively Focused is all about aligning with the pure positive energy, the eternal beingness that is you, that is inherently within you, so that the things you desire fulfill themselves without you having to make them happen. And as a result of witnessing that occurrence, you allow yourself to experience the experience of worthiness. And as that worthiness emerges from within you, your sense of being improves. So the Positively Focused framework is all about teaching people how to live from the place of being instead of the place of doing. And there's a reason why I'm talking about this today and starting this YouTube channel late last year instead of like 10 years ago, because the timing is perfect. So now I want to introduce the next clip from this video. By the way, I'm going to include a link to the entire video so you can watch the whole thing if you wish. And then, of course, like I said before, next week I'm going to review a few other clips from this 44-minute interview. But right now I want you to hear what Salim says, because what he says next perfectly aligns with and supports how the future that is unfolding is a spiritual future, not a technological one. Take a listen.
Right. The more money you have, it turns out the less happy you are. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so we have to solve the inner problem. Now, I'm from India originally, and one of the things I find fascinating is that as AI and robots take over more and more of the doing technology, then human beings need to be better at being technology. And we have that, actually. You know, you have meditation, you have martial arts, you have psychedelics that'll help you be in interesting places. And so we have lots of opportunities to solve for that being part. We'll spend a lot more time in the being part of our domain rather than the doing part of our domain.
Wasn't that spectacular? So for all you manifestors out there, all of the viewers who are watching who have some spiritual focus, who find affinity in spirituality, what Salim here is saying. Now, Salim is a technologist. He's a tech entrepreneur. So here this tech entrepreneur is affirming, if you're a spiritually oriented person, someone who has an affinity with spirituality, this tech entrepreneur is affirming your spiritual orientation as it regards the future of superabundance. Now, I know intimately what he's talking about. I have experience in yoga. I have a 3rd degree black belt in 9 martial arts. And of course, you probably know if you've watched the videos on this channel that I'm deep into meditation. We've had these things for years, decades, hundreds of years. Meditation, martial arts, yoga. We've even had entheogens for about as long as humanity has been around. In fact, I have personally experienced over 70 ayahuasca experiences. So I know of the disciplines he's talking about in this clip. And none of those disciplines will allow you to soothe negative emotion. Ayahuasca helps a little bit, so can mushrooms. But unless you are aware of the spiritual dynamics underlying physical reality, which are also underlying your consciousness and how you move through non-physical, you can't really have a grasp on the tools necessary to soothe negative momentum born of your chronic focus on negative vibration. That's why someone like myself and others like me on YouTube and other places are offering the version of this spiritual wisdom that we're offering, because it goes beyond meditation, it goes beyond yoga, it goes beyond martial arts, and it goes beyond these entheogens, these psychedelic drugs that you can take. And so if you're watching this video, and you are, then you have an affinity with the future. This is so good. The future technology. One of my clients, who's a vice president of a software development branch in a major organization, he calls this positively focused stuff, he calls it undiscovered science. This future technology that everyone's going to be looking for when there's no more jobs and no more money that people can place their identity on. So many people today place their identity, like who they are, on their job or their job title, or their status as a married person or a single person, or their status as a male or female or a transgender person or non-binary person. There are all kinds of labels, you know what I'm saying? They put their identity on transient labels, and that is a shaky foundation for who you are. The only foundation that is rock stable, that is worthy of you putting your identity on, is your relationship with your broader perspective. The number one relationship that is part of the 3 priority relationships I call the order of operation. When you rest your identity on your broader perspective, the eternal pure positive energy that is you, then you develop within you a rock solid foundation upon which you deliberately then can create your reality, any reality you want. And that is the purpose of this technological singularity, which is really about spirituality. This future that is coming is designed to move us into being, so that then we can explore what another client once this week described this future era as the age of superhuman. And what she was talking about was not the convergence of humans and technology, but instead a future where we focus so much on our expansion that we realize abilities that we once thought were impossible. And isn't that what I was talking about in my previous episodes, my raw blog episodes, where I was talking about astral travel and travel outside of your body and shape-shifting? This is so good. The future that's being enabled by the technological singularity is an abundant, a superabundant AI future, but it's primarily a spiritual future, a future where we're going to be, and in that being, transform the world and who we are. Are you eager for this future? I am. It's going to be marvelous. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching to the end. I'll probably do part 2 next week when I talk about the other segments from this fantastic video that is describing where Salim is describing this amazing future that we're moving into. It's a glorious time to be alive, you guys, and you are here on purpose. You chose to be here so that you can witness this pivotal moment of human history into a more spiritual future enabled by artificial intelligence and technologies. See you in the next video.